You can now listen to episodes of the Flying Monkey Podcast anywhere podcasts are available, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. You can also watch the video podcast on our YouTube and Rumble channels. Just search the Flying Monkey Podcast and make sure to subscribe and share. You're watching the Flying Monkey Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Flying Monkey Podcast. Today we have Andrew. He's a father, and we're going to talk to him about his story and experience with the family courts. How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Good. Well, thanks. So let's just start from the beginning. You can kind of tell us a little bit about your story and what you've been going through.
Well, it started about almost 3 years ago now. I've been fighting for my children. In the beginning, of course, there's a lot of allegations that fly, lies that fly. And then, as a father, I'm a father of two. I'm 55 years old, but I got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. My youngest had pretty much just been born when I could no longer take it anymore. And I ended up filing for try to get some custody of the children because it became a big problem trying to, see the children. And so anyway, I filed 3 years ago. A lot of lies came about. She tried to file a ex parte for a restraining order, and she was granted the restraining order temporarily until we could actually go into court and tell the story. So they gave me 6 hours immediately, one day a week. So I was completely taken out of the children's life right then and there, with the exception
Yeah.
of 6 hours, which obviously is more than some, but at least it was unsupervised, and I was able to see them, once a week.
Yeah, it's still not sufficient, though.
It's not even close to sufficient, not for any loving father,
Yeah.
But
Nor for the child. I mean, they need both parents, and they need to have the balance of male and female guidance and love in their lives.
oh, for sure. My daughter, the first time I picked her up, she just hugged me and hugged me and hugged me, and it was great and wonderful. And then when I went to drop them off, she didn't want to leave. She'd just sit there and cried and cried and cried, and
Yeah.
she didn't want to leave. And you can tell that it's affecting her. I mean, she was a little over 2 years old at that time, but it affects them more than you can ever imagine at that age.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it does. It really does.
yeah, and the family courts continually take them away from fathers. Um, you know, and it takes forever for a father to even be able to, to be a real father to their children, especially with the way the system works today.
It just seems, I mean, we're finding things out little by little here with new light coming on to what's been going on for years, but it's intentional. It's really an intentional setup and system to the most important thing for a child to be functional and successful in life is to have a father in their life. And so you take that away, and then you've got all this chaotic, traumatized kids growing up, and they're a mess. And we've seen it since the 60s. Just look at certain communities that they've taken the dads out, and they just extended it into every community across the globe. It's happening. It's just horrible.
It definitely is, and unless we see change, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah. Well,
For the children and everybody.
yeah, no, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
why we're here today, and that's why we do the show, and let people voice their opinions and their thoughts and tell their stories. And you know, I've interviewed tons of parents, but also being part of different groups of fathers' rights and parents' rights, and you see the stories every day. And then I've worked with organizations that have worked with tens of thousands of people, and the studies, it's the same story. It's the same MO every time. And it doesn't just happen to fathers too. I mean, it happens more so to fathers because what is it? 9 out of 10 times the mom gets the kid with custody initially, but it happens to moms too. And there's another, and as you look deeper into those statistics, the trends seem to be wherever the most abusive situation is, that's where the courts are allowing the children to be placed, which is completely against common sense and what's the best interest of the children. It's insanity.
Oh, it is. I had pictures of where she took a toy and hit me over the head, and I was bleeding. I had scratches all over my body, and the judge just kind of tossed that out and didn't even look at it. And like I said, gave me 6 hours, and gave her the rest of the time. You know, 3 weeks later, after we went back to court for the restraining order, we were going to file our own DVRO, and so they decided to just dismiss their DVRO, and so I didn't have any restraining orders against me like that, and the judge still didn't give me any additional time. He left me at 6 hours, and that lasted for about 6 months. And finally, we went back to court, and he bumped me up to 12 hours. Now it's Tuesday, Thursday, 3 hours, and then Saturdays for 6 hours, which is great and wonderful. I get to see them 3 times a week, but it's still 12 hours a week is never going to be enough. You
No,
know,
it
and
never is.
yeah, and you're fighting, and I married this individual, um, and then 2 years after we were married and we already had our children, I found out that she was actually still legally married to another person when she
Oh,
married me, and it you know I forgave her for that, and I tried to continue on with the relationship, but then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse in there. My marriage was annulled, so it was voided, as if it didn't happen. But then after you file, you find out 6 months later that she actually had a third husband I didn't know about, and she was
oh,
still legally married to him. And yet
wow.
the judge doesn't see anything into this, right? It's,
Yeah,
she's the good parent, I'm the bad parent, and I'm continually fighting for the children.
yeah.
Um,
Were her
so
parents divorced?
her parents were divorced, got back together, and then got actually, I don't know if they were ever really truly married. I think they were just uh,
Together.
together,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. And was dad in her life a lot? I'm just asking this to kind
Uh,
of make a point.
I She tells
If
me
you
he
know.
she lived with him, I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
he was there sometimes, he was there, but she tells me he was an alcoholic and, um, you know, but
Yeah.
but I really don't know her real truths. I mean, if you'd have known
Yeah.
heard
No, exactly.
all the truths I found out since, I mean, it's hard for me to say for sure what's true and what's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. It shows the system in society. I mean, they're just first of all, divorce just damages the kids in anyway. And then to take it through the courts and to do the things they do and to separate them from the parents, it's even more damaging and it's just destroying their attachment systems and then they can't function. And we know the statistics. I mean, a fatherless child is in danger of pretty much every statistical risk that exists.
Oh, yeah.
Jail, alcoholism, suicide, can't hold a job, can't
Sure.
tell the truth. you know, and it's such a simple thing, and we've thrown it out like it's just marriage today. It's a throwaway situation. Buy one, you don't like it, throw it out. It doesn't work
Yeah.
anymore, throw it out. It doesn't shine as much as it used to, throw it out and go get another one. And that's just not you take vows, you make a promise, you make a commitment, and you create children. That's your obligation. That's your responsibility to make sure that they're raised properly, and that you have to work as a team. And it's just so no one cares about it, and they think it's okay just because society's told us that it's okay just to chuck it in the garbage. Don't worry about it. And then they're making billions of dollars off of us, all parents, with the lawyers and then the psychologists and the reunification and the supervised visitation and then all this stuff is insane. For 5 million years we didn't need any of this as a human race, so why all of a sudden do we need it now? We don't. you know
It's an
it's
economy in itself, right?
it is.
You
That's
know, you
right.
got you got the lawyers, you got the psychologists, you got the judges, you got the child support agencies, you got, CPS and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so it's an economy of itself, and so if they create a bad situation, more money is generated by it. You know,
Yep,
so
that's
so it's unfortunate. It really is.
right.
You know.
Yeah, but that's
Uh,
at the expense of damaging and torturing and traumatizing children, which destroys society. And then we've got, like we have now, this chaos and people who are just out of control.
Yeah. No, no, for sure. And like I said before, it's not going to change unless we see some change in the system. It's not the family court, it's the unfamily court, the anti-family court. You know, they don't look at the children's best interest. They look at their best interest.
Yeah,
And they can get away with it because there's no ramifications for making a bad decision for a
yeah.
judge.
Well, I truly think that's coming. We're starting to see that some people are looking into things finally, and it's opening the doors, and it's like, wait a minute, what have we been doing? And the problem is, it's hard for people to accept the truth. Sometimes it's a very big, fat, thick pill that's hard to swallow.
It
you
is.
know, but we have to be able to say it's okay that we don't know everything. It's okay if we made mistakes. It's really, I mean, honestly, it's really not this kind of mistake that's been going on for decades is not okay, and it's got to stop actually. But we have, as a whole, as a society, we need to say, hey, this is not, this isn't working, and this is not right, and there's no reason why a child can't call their mom or dad every day and say, hey, what's up? How are you? I love you. I miss you. Or say, you know what? Can I go out to dinner with dad tonight? We'll be back in 3 hours. Sure, honey. No problem. That's what a good mother would do. And a good father would do that too if it was a
Oh, for sure.
situation the other way around. Do you want to go to the movies tonight? That's cool. Hey, you get a break for a couple hours, you can relax, do something for yourself for a minute, because good parents, it consumes every minute of your day to be a good parent. And that's the other thing. A lot of parents just sit there and let the kids play on the phone, and they don't do anything. They're on the phones, they're stuck in the internet, and they're doing all their stuff instead of turning it all off and being the way we used to be as humans, sitting around talking to each other, teaching each other, loving each other, and being a family. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, the nucleus of the family is a thing of the past these days. Like you said,
Yeah.
it's a throwaway marriage nowadays. There's no loyalty to the marriage. It's only there for the most part until they don't want you anymore, and after
Yeah.
that, it's over with. You move on, and the family court feeds into that. You have children with somebody, and if they know that they can get more money through child support by having more time with them, and it goes both ways. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. I mean, there's some fathers that only want 50-50 because they don't want to pay the child support. But the
Yeah.
fact is that, you know, when you put a monetary number on there, it's going to create animosity between between everybody, especially when, for instance, the person that I married, that's all that she was there for was just the money. You
Yeah.
know, I put her on two of my properties, and I've been fighting for that for the last 2.5 years to get it resolved. Um, and I ended up having to give a part of mine away, my house away, just to be able to have more time with the children. I mean, the marriage was illegal. She could have got thrown in jail. I could have thrown her in jail. But if I would have done that, then it would have been, more issues in the family court. And I don't want to do that anyway. I never did because she's still the mother of the children. And how does that look, right?
No. Well, see, you're doing
So
things the right way and the honest way and the fair way, and you're a kind, good-hearted man, and but then they take advantage of that. Same situation happened with me. I mean, you just, like, okay, I'll do this, or okay, I'll make you happy, because it's not a big deal to us. All we want to do is, we just want to be happy and raise our family and play with our kids and teach them to be rocket scientists or baseball players or engineers, or what, or just guide them to be what they want to be, or and just live life and have fun and raise a family and have love. And they don't allow us to do that. You know, they,
no, they take every chance they can to take it away from you when they can. You know,
yeah,
I've been in so many different court dates. I've seen fathers get their rights taken away so many times. It's unbelievable. Um, on how many times they've lost their family, lost their children. I saw a father have 50-50 custody, and he started withholding the child from the mother for a couple of months. And the judge in the case didn't just slap him on the wrist, he knocked him down from 50-50 to 1 day a month. And he had been in his child's life for the last 3 years because he was only 3 years old on a 50-50 basis. But I've also seen the other way where a mother would do something like that and he wouldn't do anything to him.
Yeah, nothing
you know?
happens to 'em. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But that's part of the scam they allow they know who's going to be angry, abusive, and out of control, and they want that. They allow that to happen. So they promote the bad behavior and they constrain the good, positive, loving, caring, protective, successful behaviors. Um, it's sickening. It's really sickening that I mean, how can anyone who's supposed to be a judge, and that's about justice, and that's about fairness, and that's about what's right and wrong, and that's a straight line. There's no, there's no room for fudging around with that. And either it is or it isn't. What's right, what's wrong. I mean, and that's what I've talked about this before with other parents. We can resolve these divorce situations, custody situations, and all that within a couple days. It can be done so easily. It's just 50-50. And just if someone screws up and doesn't follow the rules, well, then you lose some time. But the drastic, angry, how do you feel in the moment person that's a judge that makes these outrageous orders. I mean, we've known parents, I won't say his name, but I know a couple, that they've gotten lifetime restraining orders.
Yeah,
Lifetime.
and it's so easy to get it too as well.
I
All
mean,
they have
what
to do
the
is say, "I'm in fear."
what kind of yeah, even that, but this was not even that kind of a situation. This was, I think he put up something just, on Facebook or something saying how unfair it is I can't see my child or something. I mean, this judge is not, is whatever. And that's freedom of speech and that's his opinion and he's entitled to it. And it's most likely a factual truth, and the judge just got their feelings hurt and I'm going to impose my imperial power on you. It's just silly. What kind of, that's an irresponsible, immature human being that has no right sitting on a bench in a courtroom that would do that to a person for no
Oh, yeah.
reason. I mean, you brought, I know father brought the child beaten and battered into the court to the judge's chambers and said, look at this. And they were thrown out, slammed the door on, and then the judge didn't do anything to protect the child. And
Yeah.
it's just sickening. These people, I mean, where do they come from? I mean, who does that? I mean, and there's some of these people are parents too. So what kind of parents are they to their children? It's a pretty messy situation. But yeah, we need to do something about it, and everyone needs to know about the situation. They're abusing our children left and right.
And they don't care. They're not in the business for feelings, is what I was told. You
But
know?
yet they let their feelings, form their opinions and their
Yeah.
judgments. Isn't
Well,
that
you don't know
funny?
how they grew up. You don't know if they had a bad father. You don't know if they got beat or anything like that, and they're up there making the decisions based on their life's experiences, not necessarily the children's life's experience,
Yeah. Well, that's
you
why we
know?
have laws and rules, and you're supposed to, abide by them. For the 14th Amendment, what is it? I forget which amendments are the six. I know the sixth and the 14th are parental rights. We have the right to parent our children. So there's no reason why they can't be, we can't parent them. They're doing it in the schools. It's part of this whole insanity that's been going around the world. And it's all of it's wrong and it's intentional and it's meant to hurt everybody.
It is, and that way they have more control over the people at some point in time.
Yeah.
It's just it's unfortunate. The children's feelings don't come into play. They get an opportunity to make their voice heard when they're 12 or 13 years old, but by that time it's they're so far gone and been alienated or
Yeah.
brainwashed that it's not going to make much of a difference.
Yeah. Well,
You
that's why
know,
they extend it. They do that intentionally.
yeah,
They just make it drag out as long as they can and keep the protective, loving, good parent away from the child as long as they can. And then they let the abuse and the brainwashing go on and the attachment damage and they're told they're abandoned. The common thing, I hear, oh, he was an alcoholic and he was physically abusive. And that's really never the case. I mean,
yeah.
less so than more so. And that's just the line. That's a story, when everyone believes it and they don't realize what's going on.
Well, I know this. I know from my personal experience. Like when in the beginning, this judge told her that I'm only going to give him 6 hours, but I'm going to expect you to give him more time, right? Otherwise, I'm going to make some decisions that you're probably not going to like. Well, he never did. She never did, he never did. So she kept me to a strict 6 hours in the beginning. When it came to 12 hours, he says, now you better have a really good reason why you're keeping them to a strict 12 hours a week, because I'm going to make orders that you're not going to like if I find out that there's no good reason. And she had no good reason. And she continued to be able to keep me to 12 hours a week until it was, until I finally said, I've had enough. I can't continue on. I've spent, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on, tens of thousands or more on
Yeah.
attorney's fees and everything else. And finally I ended up having to settle for every other weekend. And that was the best I was ever going to get. And it would have been years. I mean, it was already 2.5 years had gone by, and there was no change in the system, no
Yeah.
change in time. And it's just it's hard. It's hard for a father to really to be a father at 12 hours a week. You can't be. And
No, you
even
can't.
every other weekend,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
it's funny how the judges do that. They say something so it gets on the record or put it in the court record
Yeah.
that I'm very open-minded about the father or the mother, whoever the situation is, getting more time, but we're going to set it at this time. Well, if you really are, then why don't you just get to the point and say 50-50, or every weekend and every Wednesday or every Tuesday, and then I want them to be able to have a phone call every single day for 10 minutes, and that should be the standard, split times, and then they can go after the person who's bad and doesn't do anything. And if that's the case, most people should stick to it, but we know they're insecure and they're maladaptive behaviors that they have. They're just not functional human beings and they're not sane. They got a lot of problems and they need
Yeah.
help. And it would be nice to spend the time and effort and money with behavioral therapy and stuff with these people that are acting like this. They need help, and let's
Oh,
help
for
them.
sure.
Let's help them. That's for the kids' sakes too, so they can have a healthy parent on both sides of the spectrum here. They can have mom and dad both understanding what needs to be done.
That's very true. I mean, I think if one parent is keeping the other parent away from their children, that one parent needs to have some help, because there
Yeah.
is no good reason for it. Unless they're truly beating their children, there is no good reason to keep the child away from the other parent.
No.
It's a it's an experience by itself, right? So
No, it's a horrible experience. It's actual
it is.
torture. I mean, these are crimes against humanity. Let's call them what they are. It's truly seriously abusive, and it's abuse. It's court abuse against the parents and the children.
It is, and the children's don't matter, because at the end of the day, it's all about the dollar.
Yeah,
Their
I know.
feelings don't matter. Their upbringing doesn't matter, and you continue to fight day after day after day, and you can't give up as a father. But some people just end up run out of money and they don't have any other choice. And the amount of money that a father has to spend to be a father is ludicrous.
No,
You
it's
know,
insane. I know. Well, that's
it
hopefully
is.
they're finding the wasteful funding in our government. So hopefully they'll find this one too, and they'll realize if you cut the funding off, I think a lot of the shenanigans will stop because they can't function, they can't hire, they can't do all these things, and it'll open the door to all this. I mean, this is, pretty much criminal behavior, and it's abusive behavior if it's not criminal. But
Yeah, for sure.
it's got to stop. And so that's why we're here talking. The average person needs to know about it. Advice to young couples, I mean, if you're going to get divorced, which you shouldn't, but if you do, don't go to court. Go find a mutual attorney and sit down and be honest and fair with each other and get it over with. You're going to save thousands of dollars and you're going to not destroy your children. And just write up an agreement and take it in and get it signed off on and go on with your lives if that's the way you have to do it. But I mean, that's that's the safest bet you got, and it's in
Yeah.
the best interest of the kids.
Unfortunately, you can't write up a prenup agreement before you have children, and stick in court, because they'll make the decision either way they want to, anyway they want to. Children are pawns in this system, without question.
Yeah, most definitely.
The average person has no clue what a father goes through trying to see or be a part of their children's life. Because if they did, they would never become a father. I could not
Yeah,
have imagined what I was going to go through, you know, 5 years ago when my daughter was born, and just a few short years later. and the stuff that I'd have to go through just to try to be in their life, you know? And it's no wonder why so many people walk away. You emotionally, you cannot handle it. It's
Yeah.
hard to be without your children. And so you have to walk away. You have to protect yourself in some ways, um, you know, if you can. But you at the end of the day, you still have to keep fighting.
Yeah, no, you have to. You can't give up because it just gets worse for the kids, and then all it does
Yeah,
is perpetuate the same behavior on down the line, and it just continues, and it's just nuts.
yeah.
It's nuts, and the suicide rate amongst fathers. I mean, I don't know. I forget. I hate this. I sometimes I should have them like right here next to me, but it was it 23 parents, 23 fathers a week commit suicide that are
Weak.
being kept from their, and that's in the United States because the family courts have taken their children away from them. And I'm not sure what the number for mothers were, but it's 1 to 3 somewhere in that realm commit suicide because they're not seeing their kids either. So this is just it goes back to criminal. I mean, you're killing people by
Yeah, they
doing
got blood
this.
on their hands,
The end of
you
the
know?
story is this: that you're just putting them in danger, and you're abusing them, and it's horrible.
I think you're seeing a lot more movement these days than you have in the years past. You see a lot more legislation out there that's being enacted, in different states and things like that. I think, unfortunately, California will probably be one of the last ones that come to terms with 50-50 with the presumable, you know,
Yeah.
um,
Well, it's already 50-50 in California, but they
yeah,
don't but they don't do it. See, that's the
how?
problem with everyone's fighting for legislation. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. We've already got laws. You don't kill people, you don't beat people up, you don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't steal, but yet that's what they do.
Yeah,
And so the laws we have are already in place to stop this behavior, but their behavior needs to be constrained and changed, which means you have to shut down the courts completely and revamp them and open up like a divorce arbitration thing, where you go in, you got 10 days to complete it, and then just it's criminal if it's a criminal thing if you don't let a parent see their child. So then you just go like Robert Garza's law. You just write up a citation, fine them $500. If they do it 3 times, then change of custody, and that'll stop it all. And the state can still make their money, because there's people that are going to be doing this left and right. So you give 1,500 bucks, and then you've got tickets written, and you've got reported proof for the DA to prosecute that person, and you're getting a bad person from doing bad things.
yeah.
But the court's behaviors right now, they can. There's no argument. They can't argue. I mean, actions speak louder than words, and they're not doing what's right, and they're not following the law. And it's plain and simple. It's right in our faces, and it's time for it to change.
They don't have to follow the law.
Yeah.
I mean, they should. It's they're in that position. They should, but they just from my personal experience, I haven't seen them follow the law. Um, you know, she can sit there and perjure herself all day long, and nothing comes about it, right? On every document, from our marriage certificate to the civil courts that we've gone through, and everything else, and there's no repercussions for it, and so she can continue to do that over and over and over again. And in the meantime, you're still fighting, you're still spending money on attorney's fees, and you're still trying to see your children for more time.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that's why the courts aren't the place for this. I mean, what do we
no,
need a court for a divorce? When you got
yeah,
married, you signed a paper, paid a $10 fee or whatever it is. You're married. You got your, same should
yep.
happen with your divorce. Go and sign it off. We're divorcing. Okay. Are there kids? Yes. Here's the deal. You have to have 50-50 and share it. If there's any violations, you're going to call the police. They're going to fill out a report. They're going to fine you $500 for denying the other parent seeing the child, and you're going to sign an agreement on what your time frame is. You can revamp it every year if you want to reschedule it, but anyone who's argumentative and stubborn and refuses to deal with it, you're going to lose custody.
I agree with you. A failed relationship should not end the relationship with your children. You
Mhm.
know, what you do after the failed relationship is up to you, and if you choose to be argumentative, choose to do the things that we're continuing on, then you should lose your children. At least some custody time.
Yeah,
But you should never lose your children in the kind of time frame that we do nowadays.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And the other thing is, these words they use are
right.
so ridiculous. Mental health, it's ridiculous too. It really is. I mean, you need behavioral psychologists or behavioral people that know and observe and deal with reality. It's like training a dog. It keeps peeing on the carpet. You got to change its behavior. So the court needs to have its behavior changed. The psychologists that are in those just making money and lying and writing up false reports, that just there's no proof. It's just an opinion, and it's just silliness. I mean, in a closed door with no one watching them, they're saying these things that are untrue, and they're destroying people. It's ridiculous. It's the wrong model for what need for a family. It's just there's no need for it whatsoever.
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
You know, it should never take 2.5 years to be able to get more time with your children, and that's some of the things that need to change. I think
No,
it needs
exactly.
needs to be maximum of a year before a decision's made on custody if you're gonna withhold the children from the other parent.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, there's definitely something that needs to change within our society, and the family court would be the very first place I'd start with
Yeah.
personally.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, I would say we need to shut it down and
Yeah,
revamp it.
that's
Stop. It's just the whole process is just absurd. It
yeah,
is.
for
Yeah.
sure, absolutely.
Well,
So,
hopefully we opened some eyes and minds here, and it was really
uh,
good to have you on today, Andrew. Thanks for coming on and
well,
sharing your opinions and thoughts and feelings and your story. And I hope things get better for you and the kids and you. Just keep fighting and just show them all the love you can and and hang in there.
absolutely. No, appreciate it, and hey, thanks for putting these stories out there because it's going to make a difference one day, for
Yeah,
sure.
no, it will. It definitely will.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Well, we'll check back in with you, and you're welcome to come back anytime and
All right, sounds good.
talk
Thanks,
again.
Tommy.
All right, my man. You have a good day. Thanks, Andrew.
Too. Yep.
All right,
Bye.
take care. Bye bye.
Thanks for watching the Flying Monkey podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe to our social media sites on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, and Truth Social. You can also go straight to our webpage at www.flyingmonkeypodcast.com.
Have you been victimized by family court? Are you suffering parental alienation? It's child abuse and it's domestic violence by proxy. Are you stuck drowning in legal and mental health bills? Get off the treadmill, escape the trap. With over 10 years of research, thousands of parent interviews and case studies worldwide, we have developed a system that works to help you get your kids back. Join the movement now. HopeInDarkness.info, StopTheAbuse.info, AlienationAcademy.com, and TheFlyingMonkeyPodcast.com. It's time for change, and it's time to stop the abuse. Go to tinyurl.com/stop-parental-alienation.